Funny thing happened this morning on my way to get my haircut. I was pulling up to the stop sign, look over, and this guy is carrying this big old black bag. He was like, "Oh my God, this is so heavy," and it just kind of cracked me up the way he said it. So I asked him where he was going, and he said it was to a store that was along my route. So I told him to get in, or just toss his bag in the back of the truck, and he did. He was real thankful, appreciative about it. Then he goes on to say how he was homeless. He lived in some woods in the back of one of our stores. And he was talking about how hard, it was carrying that stuff for as long as he was carrying it. Said he had a pacemaker and it kept going off, and he's like, "Oh my God, it hurts." And, he was kind of a funny guy, older man, like I'd say around 60. But he said that if he didn't do that, if he didn't go bottling, as he said, because that's a verb, bottling. Like I got to go working, or I got to go bottling, and if he didn't do that, then him and his dog was gonna die. They just wouldn't be able to eat. And so I asked him, how he ended up being homeless, and he said that his wife did him like O.J. Simpson, which I don't know, exactly what he meant by that. So I kind of got the feeling that he had to go to prison or something, and it kind of messed his life up, and he just wasn't able to get back on track. But I don't know. And he made the point that he didn't like how people had made fun of homeless people. And like he had said, like basically nobody wants to be in that position, and things of that nature, in his defense, and how hard it is and stuff. So then I asked him later on in the conversation, I was like, what would you say to people, who wonder why you just don't get a job? And he had said that he couldn't because he was missing some kind of bone, orbital bone or whatever, in his eye right there, and also he had a pacemaker. So I'm thinking, like, this dude's already working hard. He's working so hard collecting bottles that his pacemaker is going off. So that's not really a valid excuse to me. Like, if you're working that hard for, what are you getting, 20 or 30 bottles a day, $2 or $3, 10 cents a bottle here in Michigan? If you're working that hard carrying that heavy bag all the way up 2 or 3 miles to return it, then you could probably get a job, someplace for minimum wage, which is like $8 an hour. So instead of making like $3 a day, I don't know, you could make whatever 10 times that in 4 hours. And so I just couldn't figure out, how that excuse was valid. But then it clicked. Because he said that he's been trying to get on disability for a long time, and that he couldn't. They just kept denying him. He's like, I'm not giving up. I'm gonna keep doing it, or keep reapplying. And I'm like, at what point do you give up? And stop this hard life of bottling that's already causing your pacemaker to go off for something at least at minimum wage, where you can at least raise your standard of living a little bit better. You want food for your dog, but I mean, you're getting $3 a day bottling, whereas you could buy your dog some better food if you were getting $32 a day, whatever, at a 4-hour shift. But the thing is that with disability, my understanding is that you can't work. And so his attempt to get disability and to keep being denied has got him in this cycle of homelessness. You know, where I'm not going to get a job, I can't get a job, because if I have a job, then I definitely won't get disability. But if I live harder and collect bottles and have a lower standard of living, then it increases my chance to get disability, or at least leaves the option open. So this guy's suffering for however many years, living a harder life because of disability. That sucks. That sucks. I wonder how many people are like that. How many people do that, you know, in this society? How many homeless people are trying to get disability so they won't work? Because it'll automatically exclude them. When in fact, they're already probably working harder than they would be by having a job. You see what I'm saying there? If this is making any sense, or if not, you know, drop a comment, please. Let's talk about this, because I don't know, I'm scratching my head on this guy. You know, and in society as a whole, is disability, you know, really worth it? I know for some people, you know, they're lucky enough to not have to go into the woods. You know, they can quit working and still maintain their home. But I know in the past that if you weren't able to work, I mean, what would you do? You know, I mean, you kind of had to work. If you didn't make or prepare enough firewood for the winter, you're freezing to death. You know, if you didn't go out and farm and all that stuff, you're starving to death. There was no option. But now that there's options, we're actually making our lives harder than what they need to be. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. This guy's, you know, got it pretty rough. What was I gonna say? Oh, yeah. There was another conversation I had recently with somebody. It was about communism. How he was, this guy was such a big supporter of communism. And he's like, if you got all the wealth in the world, that should be divided up equally. You know, everybody should have equal slices of the shares of that pie. You know, like, say, me, you, 6 other people, we should get, you know, 1/8 each of the total wealth. And so I asked him, what would you say about the person that takes their wealth, that 1/8 slice, and squanders it on drugs, or, you know, whatever stupid stuff that they can buy, you know, just wastes it? And to that he was like, when do we stop helping our brothers? Well, okay then, if we give them 1/8 of the pie, of the total wealth, we give them 1/8 of the pie, they go out and spend it, then we got to give them what's left of the remaining 1/8. So then we have, you know, like 1/6, and, you know, it goes right on more to them. They can just waste, and they're actually living a richer life than the other ones just by being wasteful, because we got to help out. So the more they spend, the more they're going to get, and the more they spend, the less we're going to get. And that's communism. That don't make a lick of fucking sense to me. That does not make any sense at all. It does not hold anyone accountable for their own lives, for their own actions, the way that our system does, or used to. And so now you got a homeless guy that doesn't want to work, and he's actually working a harder life because he wants a piece of the pie with disability. Because the guy can work. I mean, like I said, he was struggling his ass off. And then you got another guy talking the virtues of communism, because it's all equal wealth when it's not equal wealth. Because, like I said, divided up equally, people will spend differently. You'll have some that'll save most of their money. You'll have others that'll just go out and waste it. And then we got to go bail them out, according to the person I was talking to. Wow. What is going on? Please, somebody just explain this. Because I think we need to get a little bit harder, and we need to hold ourselves a little bit more accountable and see where it goes from there. Because this whole thing where, we don't want to hold anybody accountable, we want to bail everybody out, is not working. It's not even feasible. It's ridiculous. And there's just holes all the way through the theories there. So, anyways, drop a comment, like, subscribe. I will be recording again here soon, because I thought I had some kind of issues, but I don't know, I started recording again and it sounded pretty crystal clear. And so hopefully I'll have something out, I don't know, next couple of weeks or so. Be on the lookout. Peace.